Umeahidi ewe Bwana, huniachi.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, guess who I have with me right here? Presidential aspirant, I'm telling you, one of the legendary gospel artists and a teacher, a father, a grandfather. He wears so many hats. You wear so many hats, right?
Yes, I'm also a social activist. Yes.
And a teacher. We are, as you said, we are in your territory here.
Yes, I teach here at the Africa International University.
Yeah.
And did I say I'm a musician too?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a musician.
Yes.
Recorded quite a number of albums, like 29 of them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and counting, because I'm still working on another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also do a lot of mentorship of young people in the area of broadcasting and music and the arts in general.
How many years now in the music industry?
Well, I don't know when you were born, but I've been recording music since 1987. It's when I did my first album. And I've been on and off like that for quite a while. Yeah.
Since 1987. Oh my goodness. That is a long time.
I was singing way before that, yeah. You see?
Yeah.
So it's a passion. It's also something that resonates very deeply with my faith. Because I sing my faith. And the way I see faith, it's not just, make your prayers and sing your songs. Yeah. Faith is really about living the life as someone who believes in God. So for me, I don't dichotomize between teaching, being a politician, or being a Christian. Yeah, the two go together. It's one big thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very, 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 very true. And you've just shocked me with, 29 albums. I never knew it's 29 albums.
Well, I wish I could get as much money from this. The royalty battle is a big thing here, and I know we could always talk about that. Yeah. But I'm very passionate in terms of fighting for the rights of musicians as well, because there's a lot of exploitation, just like you have in the tea and the coffee sector or pyrethrum sector. You still have a lot of exploitation in the music and the arts, Yeah, those who do acting and film and all those things really get a raw deal when it comes to royalties. Mm-hmm.
You're one of the legendary artists we have in the gospel industry, and
I don't know what a legend is, Kalondu.
Oh, no.
Does it mean someone very old, or does it mean, someone really good, or does it mean legend? Someone who tells many stories, maybe?
Someone that is really good, that produces such quality products, and of course, and has been there for a very long time.
Mm. Yes. So the thing is, naturally, I don't like mediocrity. So if there is anything with regard to, maybe doing something well, that's not a big deal. It's just part of my life. That's how, Mm-hmm.
And one of my best songs is Huniachi featuring Gloria Moliro. I just want to know how that song came about.
Well, it's a long story. I think it's a testament of so many people's lives. There are so many people going through stuff. And I noticed there's so many promises in God's word that talk about God's abiding presence and so on. And so to sing those scriptures back to people was something I loved to do. But most importantly, I was doing it for myself, because through my life I have seen a lot of ups and downs. But the one constant has been that God has never really forsaken me. So I just sing about it.
just want to know, what is your opinion of the current, generation of gospel artists?
It's bittersweet. I'll start with the sweet. There are some very wonderful, gospel music writers, but there are also some very horrible ones. So you have your pick. I don't think we are short of good musicians that are writing gospel music. The issue is we have a lot of people who say they're singing gospel music that don't know what the gospel is. And if you don't know what the gospel is, then you cannot sing that same gospel in the music. So anything seems to go today, when it comes to talking about gospel. But gospel is really a very simple thing. And so relationship with Jesus through his death on the cross and resurrection then answers the big questions of man. And that is the forgiveness of sin and the destiny when you live this life. And so you live your life in the light of, a finished sacrifice. So it is really redemption through the cross of Christ. That is the gospel. Now, if you sing anything else and call it gospel, it doesn't work because it's not a genre. Even when you go to America and they say, this is the gospel style, when you go to the southern parts of the states, gospel. Gospel is not a style, it's not a genre. It is really the message that we find in the cross of Christ. So a lot of people that don't want anything to do with the cross and don't want anything to do with Jesus, but, want to be associated with the talent and the art, but call it gospel. That is a lie, a very big lie. So, I wake up one morning and I write a song, Yesu nipe nyonyo, or there are weird things being written in the name of gospel, Kalondu. I'm telling you. So it's not about how I feel. I woke up this morning and I was angry, or I woke up this morning and I was in love, voila. No. It is really about the cross of Christ. And as long as there is no cross in your music, and it's not just for the show, it's really about, living that life as well.
As you said, it's not about the genre. So you can actually, release a gengeton gospel, that is nice.
I do a lot of reggae gospel. I do country and western. I do rumba.
Yeah.
I tried rap. It was so hard, but I think I killed it once. So the genre is neither here nor there. That's why, you can have gospel in a poem. You can have it in a film. You can have it in broadcasting. It's the way you package. It's just a package. Yeah, that's neither here. If you go to Jamaica, for example, all you hear is reggae. If you go to Nyanza, all you hear is, a lot of benga. Yeah, and you go down to the coast, you hear a lot of chakacha. So if you come from any of those regions, then you render the gospel through that idiom. Yeah.
Would you ever consider having any collabo with, the current generation of gospel artists?
And what do you mean by current generation? You mean, like Diamond or
gospel artists, like, the new people in the industry. Mm-hmm. Do you consider, collabos with them?
You see, a collaboration, Kalondu, is about working together. It's like the way you enter into a contract to do something with somebody. Now, every contract has its, bolts and nuts and regulations. So, there are things that people look for in a collaboration. Most of the time, people want a collaboration to sort of build up name and capacity or audience. And so, Kalondu has this nice face and Kigame has this, voice. So you bring the face and the voice together, you gain. Now, I would do a collaboration if it brings gain in a particular area. For example, if I needed a female voice, of course, I cannot sing a female voice, so I'll look for someone like Gloria or Masi Masika or one of those. Yes, they will deliver that. However, a lot of people don't know that collaborations also come with contracts. And if you don't have the contractual aspects in place, you will really suffer from collaborations. Yeah, because sometimes a song becomes really good and voila, somebody says, I'm the one who wrote it, even when they didn't. You know, because they have been invited to participate. So you've got to have all these things written down. Some money will come from it. You'll sell DVDs, or you have downloads, and they'll attract AdSense and stuff like that. You have to be prepared to know what percentage goes to who and what percentage goes to who. And it's the same with Skiza Tunes and so on and so forth. Yeah.
So how can the government help artists?
By making me president. It's very simple, isn't it? Yeah, because the government doesn't want to do a lot of things that I want to do. Yes. So the government can, it's clear. There are laws and regulations. There are institutions that are tasked with certain either protection of artist rights or the fulfillment of certain contractual situations. The issue is, do those institutions work? If institutions don't work, you don't blame the musicians, for example, you blame the government. So, for example, you have the Kenya Copyright Board, you have the Music Copyright Society, so you have these CMOs, and you have a government entity that does rights stuff. So if the rights things are not done, then you don't look for answers among the musicians. You look for answers in that organization. And some of these organizations can need to be disbanded and buried like more than 12 feet under. Yeah, because they are not useful. Or it's just like a pulling together of thieves and hyenas, and that are ready to pounce on hard-earned incomes in the name of protecting them. So we have a lot of cartels and so on. In the face of government, they don't do much, for the artists. And you don't look at artists per se as only musicians. Those who do like stage work, acting or theater in general, also get a raw deal. I mean, when you do a play and it is uploaded, and then somebody says that the play belongs to them or does something to the channel so that the AdSense go to you, it's still stealing. So the government needs to come in stronger. It doesn't. Yeah.
You tweeted about, royalties few weeks ago. For some few months, many months. When was?
Actually, about 4 months ago. It was late March.
I would have said few months ago. And, and I was in shock. I wasn't. No, I was no, not at all. And
come to my funeral. The superstitions ones, like the Luyas that I come from, and they are Akamba, will say mashaitani amekuja kwa Kigame sasa. Amejipredictia.
Yeah, but before I even ask why you asked them not to come to your burial.
By the way, I haven't changed my mind.
Where are they going wrong?
Where are they going right should be the question.
They are not going right at all.
I mean, if a musician has payment worth 10 shillings, let's just take 10 shillings, and only 1 shilling, or maybe 1.5 shillings goes to the musician, and then all the 8.5 goes where? That's what we're talking about. Yes, that's what we're talking about. So Safaricom will receive maybe 50 to 60%, then the middleman will receive maybe 20% or something like that. Then the rest is for the musician. What is that? In fact, why do you need a middleman between Safaricom and the musician when every musician has a phone line that is hooked to Safaricom? You get what I mean? You own the telecommunication network, you own the distribution registration. Skiza is hooked to Safaricom. They own the distribution network, the communication. And every musician, every single musician has a telephone number that receives Mpesa from Safaricom or sends money. So what is this rocket science deal that will not allow money to come from Safaricom that owns the communication systems direct to the musician? Why do you need somebody in between to collect the money from the owner of the communication network? Kiswahili gani hii?
So in short, the music creator themselves are, receiving peanuts.
They're dying poor. I registered with the Music Copyright Society of Kenya way back in 2010. So everybody thinks Kigame is a millionaire. I've never made over 200,000 from the Music Copyright Society of Kenya in 11 years, from my 29 albums. So I'm one of those who maybe a lot of people think would be top of the list, doing very well. So if that is how I'm doing, what about those who are starting? That is why I was tweeting and saying the government should completely keep off this, not say anything until they do what is right. Because I came out of a situation where I was supporting an old mzee, a musician that began to record, not sing, to record before I was born. He's called Shem Tube from Western Kenya. This mzee is old and had got to a point where all his royalties were eaten. He had no food, no clothes. His wife died about a year ago, and he could not afford a coffin for his own wife after singing from the early 60s. You get it? Now, before he died, he would call me sometimes and say, nimekaa hapa na wajukuu wangu, Bwana Kigame, sina hata chakula cha kuwapa wajukuu wangu. This is somebody who should be earning millions in royalties. Now, he himself ended up dying in February. Actually, that's why I tweeted. He died in February. He had no money for his own coffin. That is how bad things are. That is how rotten our society is. And people in government, going to work every day, driving their big cars to work every day, living in big homes, and, built from those royalties, they feel absolutely nothing. Then somebody like that dies, then they call upon musicians to raise money to help the family or to take care of the funeral expenses. And then these guys will come and take that money and hand over the money and say, we are the ones who raised it. We are the ones, this is our person. I'm saying just keep off. Don't come. Don't do anything at such funerals. And that's why I was saying, figuratively, even if I died, don't come to my funeral. Because you only come to mock me, my family, and my friends, and, hoodwink the whole republic that you are such good people. You are evil people. Yeah. They're evil people. They're monsters. Yes. Monsters in human skin. Yes.
29 albums, and I know all the songs are like your baby because they are your songs. But I just want to know, is there a particular song that is the dearest to your heart?
The heart that gives songs is dear to its own songs. And the songs are dear to the same heart. So I think it depends on the season and the time or occasion. When I need a a song for prayer. I'm not going to take my rumba stuff that make me to dance on stage. I'm going to pick the more meditative piece. When I want something rockish, then I pick one of my, heavy duty sounding songs. So sometimes I'm meeting people that are a little more elderly, so I'll pick one of my country songs like Sweet Munyore, do you remember me? And if I come, will you receive me? So I'll pick one of those. Or I will come by some rumba lovers and I will pick either a song like Kama Yala Anatamani Maji Kule Jangwani, or Usifadhaike ndugu yangu ule nini unywe nini kila siku. And it's dancey, yes, but it also has a message that resonates with a lot of people that are going through, all the different cycles of life. So songs are about life. So depending on the occasion, depending on audience, I think you'll pick up something, with a particular vibe, Yeah.
And of course, I know you were not born as a VIP, right? And
Wait, you are so sweet. You said VIP? Yes, a very important person or a visually inconvenienced person. Let's just, yeah. All right. Uh-huh.
So a question probably not many would ask you, and I'll still ask.
By the way, I laugh at myself. Yeah. So I don't take any question. I mean, life is sweet. Life is okay. So ask your worst.
So here goes my worst. Is there anything positive that you can see, you can thank God for being a VIP?
Oh, absolutely. So many. For example, if you now frown at me, I'll not notice, okay? I'll guess that you're frowning, but it doesn't bother me. So I handle audiences very easily because the facial expressions don't really get to me. I'm pretty able to gauge how an audience is responding to me by the audios, the ambience and all that. And sometimes it's a good applause, sometimes it's a jeer, sometimes, so that. But also, there are things that the ordinary person, gets really bothered by. Sometimes there are pictures you really don't want to see. Like, for example, the reason why the media would warn that some pictures are a little bit morbid or horrible to look at is because some scenes are really bad. So, like for you, Kalondu, looking at blood, on the road, like an accident scene, ends up being, you need that media warning, isn't it? For me, even if you showed it, I won't see it. I think that's a good thing. And on the same token, I would say, when I think about leadership in Kenya, for example, there are lots of people who get corrupt because of admiring things, somebody's shamba or a really nice looking car or house or somebody's wife, people do all kinds of things. Those are things that, being blind tends to exempt you from. Of course, it comes with its limitations and so on. But the balance at the end of the day leaves someone like me still advantaged in some aspects, with the reason for being blind. Yeah. When I used to teach in high school, I taught history, and I taught religion, and I taught ethics. Now, currently I teach something called apologetics. It's really like about dialogue and discussion techniques between people who believe different things. Very good for reconciliation stuff, by the way, and management of communication issues. I also teach history, church history in particular now. I also teach philosophy, and I've also taught communication and journalism, media studies. My second degree is actually in journalism and media studies. So I actually don't know what I am, but but I teach music occasionally. My daughter now runs my music school, and so I teach voice. I teach elementary piano, guitar, and the drum set, introduction to drum set and percussions.
Cry the pain across the hill for a city that is burning. Cry the pain and then be still and help the people mourning.
So just a little bit of this or that. I also occasionally, when I find the right young people, I do mentorship for especially the boy child, and I do teach either communication techniques or art or rhetoric, how to communicate. So I love to teach. Yes, I do.
When we told people we are coming to see you, most people asked us to ask you how to deal with the loss of someone. Yes, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, okay, so the first thing is nobody really ever gets over or deals with the loss of someone special easily. So it's sometimes a very long, situation. Sometimes it's a lifelong experience. There are people you'll never get over. So you've got to learn to move from that stage of denial to acceptance, and then to coping, learning to cope. That's what a lot of us are not prepared to. So we go at it with anger and frustration and seclusion. Sometimes depression sets in, and you become much worse. So the thing is, when you lose someone, sometimes we forget of taking care of ourselves, so we end up deteriorating. And then what I would say, especially for those that are close to people who lose loved ones, there are things we should never say to them. Don't worry, Taisha. Some people even spiritualize it and say God loved him or her more than we loved him, I mean, some things you should never say, even if you feel like saying them. So coping is not easy, but you've got to exercise both faith and then a move towards normalcy. The sooner you get back to some kind of cycle, the better, because you can very easily lose your mental health. Yeah.
By the way, how did you know that Julie was the right one?
Oh, now that was a very interesting situation. For example, it took my children more than me to actually get to know or prove that it was Julie. For example, I asked them one time, if you were to have another mother, who would that be? And, by virtue of wanting to know, are they ready for somebody else or not? And shock of shocks, and you can ask them today, they actually both came up. I had two daughters then, 14 and 12, and both of them said Julie. And it's because not only was she a friend to their mom, but also somebody they interacted with very, very well. So one criterion for me was somebody who would love my children. It would be terrible to have somebody come into your life that didn't also love your children. Yeah.
Wow, I'm telling you, I'm learning a lot, and I have actually learned a lot. As I mentioned, Huniachi is one of my best songs. I don't know whether you can do something for us.
On Huniachi? Yes. All right, let's see. I was very shocked when it made it to like 10 million views.
Yes.
said, only God in heaven could do something like that. But I also thank those that have loved my music. They've been very expressive. You know, they write on Instagram, on social media, I mean, like Facebook and YouTube, and they tell you exactly what they think about your song. So they like the song, they put their views. This is one of those songs that really got a lot of views. Are you going to sing with me?
Yes, I will.
Let's sing together. Umeahidi ewe Bwana, huniachi hadi mwisho wa dahari, ulisema huniachi. Wewe ni Mungu uliye mwaminifu siku zote. Mimi ninaiweka imani yangu kwako Baba. Yeah. You can sing. Yes. Niliweka somewhere, sasa ilibidi wimbe na bass. Sasa hii bass nimekuwekea hapo. But you made it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate. Kabisa kabisa, and guys, that is Reuben Kigame. He wears so many hats. It's been amazing. I'm humbled in the presence of greatness. My name is Kalondi Mosimi. Do subscribe and like.
Too, you are also great.
Oh my goodness.
So great.
Yes. And
so many lives.
Do subscribe, comment, and of course, like. My name is Kalondi Mosimi. Behind the camera is the one and only Saidi Abdallah.